Good day, folks. Welcome to Andrew's Life. I have a video that I'm going to play in a minute here, and then after I play this video, we're going to talk about it. Now, the video that I'm going to play is coming from the YouTube channel Emancipation Media. So, big shout out to that channel for that content that I'm going to be talking about on this video today. Now, the video is going to be about a black woman that's living in Glendale, California, which was a former sundown town in the day. And even to this day, it's still a predominantly white town with less than 2% black population. This woman is showing footage of what she claims to be footage of a bunch of bigots going into her house and trashing and vandalizing her house because she's black. Now, I got mixed feelings about this video. And after I play the video for you guys, I will come back and we will go into some discussion about the video, and I will explain why I got mixed feelings about the video. So let's roll the clip.
When the folks don't want you in their neighborhood, they will make sure they send a very loud message. Take a look at what happened to this sister's home at the hands of what she says are white and Armenian people in Glendale, California, which has a history of being a sundown town. Take a look.
This what happen when you live in a racist neighborhood and your neighbors come destroy your house and steal your stuff because you're black. Yep. Yep. They took half of my clothes, all my jackets, all my shoes. They left me one pair of them. They took hella clothes. They took my PS5. They tried to take my TV that's in the living room, but they took everything out of my drawers. They took all my good purses. All my designer purses are gone. Excuse me, Ariel. Everything on my cabinet. White power. F you. They was trying to steal my TV. They got dirt stains on my couch. Look what else they do. Excuse me. I don't know what that is. They took my stuff out of the refrigerator and look at the watermelon though. At least it was real. It's been loaded.
Okay, Kennedy, get the other bag.
They took my stuff out of here. Huh? And you know why they did it? Because I'm black. Because I'm black. In a neighborhood full of Armenians and white people, y'all. I'm the only black person in this neighborhood. They really did this to me. That's why I was dreading coming back home. I've been found out about this also. Like, I've been knowing for like a week now. But y'all, I can't believe they did this to me.
As
All right, folks, let's have a discussion. Now, first, now there's two ways that I can look at the video. Now, now just for a second, let's act like this woman's story is legitimate and she's telling the truth. And a bunch of bigots really vandalized her house like that. Now, assuming that she's telling the truth. You see, stories like this, unfortunately, stuff like this still happens to minorities, unfortunately. Which is the reason why. Me personally, I am, which is the reason why that me personally, before I go and I purchase a home, I will take the time necessary to get a healthy feel of that local community before I move in. You see, stories like this are the reasons why. That if you're a minority, or if you're white and you're dating or you're married to a minority, or if you're white and you got any minority children, it is vitally important that when you're looking at buying a home, it is vitally important that you take the time and you study that particular community. You look around to see what race of people live in that particular community. And one day when you're looking at the house, if there's somebody outside that's watering their plants or they're outside walking, whatever the case might be, find a way. I mean, think of something to approach them with. Like maybe you might want to approach that person and ask them if they have any history about the house that you're looking at wanting to buy. Ask them about the neighborhood. Even though you may already know the answer, ask them anyways. Just find a way to engage in some type of conversation with that person. That way you'll get an idea of how the area is going to most likely be. Is the area going to be tolerant of minorities, or is the area going to be hostile towards minorities? And I would say a lot of times if you talk to one or two people, you'll have a healthy idea at that point. Now, if for some reason you can't get anybody to talk to you, or there's nobody outside, because maybe it's a real cold time of the year where people are tucked inside for the most part. If this particular community that you're looking at living in has a gas station, go to a local gas station. Buy something stupid. I mean, go and purchase some gas if you have to. And again, find a way to interact with the people in that community. So if you have to go to the gas station and get some gas, go inside and interact with the clerk at the register. If there's a local mom and pop restaurant, go to that restaurant, sit down, order something small. That way you'll be able to interact with the staff. If there's a grocery store, go shopping. Even though you may not need nothing, go shopping, and I don't care if you buy you a thing of spring water. Buy something. And rather than using the automated checkouts, if any is available, go to a cash register to where you'll have to interact with the cashier. And when you approach these cashiers, ask them some basic questions, like ask them something about the community. Ask them whatever question that you can think to ask them that's appropriate, ask them. I don't care if you already know the answer, ask them anyways. Just find a way to interact with these people in that particular community. Because after you interact with a few people in that community, you'll have a fairly healthy idea on whether or rather not that community is going to be tolerant towards minorities, or they're going to be hostile towards minorities. And one thing I will say is, just because a community is a former sundown town, just because a community might be predominantly white, does not necessarily mean that they're going to be hostile towards minorities. How do I know that? Because I lived in a few predominantly white communities before. And one of the communities that I lived in that was predominantly white happened to be a former sundown town. And that was in Indiana. And that community, and now when I was in that community, in fact, if you go on this channel and you wind back let me think here. If you wind back maybe a little over a year ago, like if you go on this channel and you wind back to September of 2023, I made a video of a house that I purchased at that time up in Indiana. And that community that I purchased a house in was a small town. It was a small former sundown town. Now, that town, even to this day, is still predominantly white. Even to this day, the black population in that town is less than 5%. However, when I lived in that town for 7 months, the people were very nice. The neighbors were real friendly. In fact, my neighbors allowed me to use their yard equipment to get my yard looking nice. So the people there treated me wonderful. So I say all this to say that just because a community is predominantly white, just because a community may be known to be a former sundown town, it doesn't always mean that they're going to be hostile towards minorities. Now, I also been in communities before to where I went and I looked at some houses. And the community may have been a former sundown town and it may have been predominantly white and they were hostile towards minorities. I also lived in communities that were heavily integrated. I even been in communities that were predominantly black. And I've experienced way more hostility from some of those communities than I've experienced in some of the predominantly white communities that were former sundown towns. So I would say wherever you go, I would say especially as a minority, when you go somewhere to look at a home, make an attempt to interact one way or another with the locals. That way you can get an idea of whether that community is going to be a good fit for you or not. Now, once you, now, me personally, if I think a community is hostile towards minorities or they're hostile towards me because I'm a minority, now some people might say, you know what, move into the community anyways. It's your right. You should be able to live where you want to live. And yes, you should be able to, but the reality of that is, me personally, I'm not going to spend my hard work and money to purchase a home and go through all the work that it takes to move somewhere, all the money that it takes to move, the time and energy, all that. I'm not going to go through all that to move to a community where I already know people are most likely not going to welcome me. I'm not doing that. I think that's a dumb idea. Now, there's some of you out here that might disagree, and that's perfectly okay. But I think to move somewhere where you're not welcome is a dumb idea. I mean, to me, there's enough communities out here that are not going to be hostile towards minorities to where I'd rather move to one of those communities and put my money in one of those communities. But that's me. Now, here's the reason why I got mixed feelings about this video. Now, some of you are going to be upset. I'm getting ready to say, I'm going to let you all know right now, some of you, it's going to upset you. If you're subscribed to the channel, you're probably going to get upset and unsubscribe. And if you do, it is what it is. I mean, obviously, I don't want you to unsubscribe, but it is what it is. I got to keep it real on this channel. That's what I do. But there's a part of me that I think this video is bullshit. And let me explain why. Now, some people might suggest that the lady who was showing her house was a little too calm. Like, she was just too calm. I mean, whenever you have such a dramatic event happen to you like that, typically you're not going to be calm. You're going to be upset. You're going to be full of emotions. Women, typically, they're going to probably be crying. They're going to be like all over the place emotionally. They're not going to be calm and collective like this woman was. Now, even, you know what? Let's give this woman the benefit of the doubt and just assume that she's a super calm, cool, collective individual. Maybe it's not in her nature to get super worked up, or even if it was, maybe she decided, you know what, I need to calm down for the camera so I don't look like a complete nutcase. Who knows? But even if I gave that woman the benefit of the doubt when it comes to her demeanor, here's a question that I have. I mean, question number one: how did these people get into her house? In fact, if you go on the channel Maximation Media and you go and you click on that video, it's the video, the original video is a little over 5 minutes. If you click on that video and you watch the video, I did comments on that video in the comment section on that video. And my comment was asking, how did these people get into her house? And then a couple of people came and they told me, well, that's a dumb question. They broke in. And then I went back and I was asking, okay, well, if they broke into her home, why didn't she mention that they broke into her home? Why didn't she show any evidence that they broke into her home? And that's the thing. So, it's, because let's assume that these bigots broke into this woman's home. Now, my thinking is, if they broke into this woman's home, number one, I would think the first thing that she would have mentioned was the fact that these bigots broke into her home. But she didn't mention anything about anybody breaking into her home. Secondly, if they broke into her home, which was the only way that these bigots, these alleged bigots, would have been able to get into her home and do all that vandalism. So if they broke into her home, my question now is the evidence that they broke into this woman's home. Like, I didn't see not one picture of any broken glass. I mean, why didn't she show any footage of broken glass? Why didn't she show any footage of maybe a door that they may have kicked down to get into the house? Kicked down a door, broken glass. I didn't see footage of any of that. In fact, before I came on camera to do this video, I played that video 3 times. I played the video 3 times just to make sure that there wasn't anything on that video that I was missing. I played it 3 times. She made no mention of anybody breaking into her home. Secondly, she saw no evidence of anybody breaking into her home. And so I mean, cause right now, and I know I'm gonna piss off some of you, but it is what it is. But at this particular point, I'm thinking that maybe this woman wants to build a social media following. And this woman realizes that if you put out a story that is racial, I mean, if you put out some race hustler type stuff, it's in this day and age, it's gonna most likely blow up. You know what I'm saying? Stories like that have the potential of going viral. So I'm thinking for this woman, maybe she wants to build a social media following. And she's using this story to do it. I mean, I'm sorry, but I just do not believe the story. I just don't. I don't believe the story. I'm going to say it straight up. I do not believe the story. Because to me, if the story was true, now obviously, I can't prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the story is untrue. But just when I look at how things are, I mean, like I said, she didn't show any broken glass. She didn't show the door that they kicked in to get into her house. So what I'm thinking at this point is I'm thinking, oh, and then she made mention that they tried to steal the TV. I mean, try to steal the TV. I mean, if they wanted to steal that TV, they would have just stole it. And another thing that I want to point out is, now, although nothing like that has happened to me before, typically, uh, typically when you live in a community where people don't want you in that community because of your ethnicity, I've heard of people like that maybe TPing your house. Like maybe they might throw TP on your car, or maybe they might TP the outside of your house. Maybe they might write racial slurs outside of your house. Maybe they might put racial slurs or do some kind of damage to your possessions outside of your house, like your vehicles. Maybe they might write some type of racial slur on the driveway or on the sidewalk in front of your house. Maybe they might even do something to your yard. But I honestly have never heard of a bunch of people that don't want you in their community to go through the trouble and break into your house, which in itself is a criminal charge, and do what this woman was showing. And I don't know, man. When I saw that video this morning, I mean, when I saw that video this morning, at first I felt bad for the lady, but then after about a minute into the video, I was like, hold up, wait a minute. There's something about this video that just doesn't quite make sense. It doesn't quite add up. I'm thinking what this woman most likely did was she done went into her refrigerator and threw all that food on the floor. She done went through her house and ransacked her own house. Those racial slurs that she showed you, I'm thinking she probably took a pencil or in a crayon and wrote those racial slurs herself. And I'm thinking that she basically just set up the house to make it seem like a bunch of bigots in the community did that to her, when in reality she probably did it herself just to gain clout on social media, to grow her social media following so she can make money off of social media. Because sadly, we do have a lot of people on social media who are race hustlers. Anything that might insinuate racism, they're gonna talk about, they're gonna put out. Whether it's truly racism or not, they don't care. They're gonna find a way to attach racism to it anyway. Now, I will hope that the woman is not like that, but at this point, I don't know. And I'm not talking about the woman that reported the story. I'm talking about the woman that was in her house, taking all those pictures. I'm talking about that woman. But yeah, I would love to hear from you guys in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about this story. Do you think the story is legitimate, or do you think it's cap? And I know some of you guys are going to be in your feelings. You're going to be upset at me. You're going to be calling me all kind of names. You're going to be, oh man, I'm defending racism. I'm defending a bunch of bigots. No, I'm not defending a bunch of bigots. What I'm doing is I'm doing a little bit of critical thinking. And I think more of us in the black community should do some critical thinking before we automatically assume that such and such is racism, or someone might be a bigot. I think we need to take a moment, look at the facts for what they truly are, do some critical thinking, and then come to a conclusion of what it might be. I think sometimes in the black community we tend to act too quick. We tend to be too much into our emotions. But I don't know, man. It's like the story to me doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't. This is to me variables in a story that to me don't add up. I'm like I said, I'm thinking the woman did all that herself, and she wrote all those racial slurs on the wall herself. And as far as someone trying to take that TV, if they wanted to take that TV, they would have took it. There wouldn't have been no trying. They just would have done it. But typically, people who are like that, they're typically not going to break into your house and take any of your stuff or vandalize the inside of your house. They might vandalize the outside of your house. They might do other things to the outside of your house. They might do things to your vehicle, but typically they're not going inside your house. And I mean, and another question that I have is, did she call law enforcement? Did she write out a police report? And if so, if she did contact law enforcement, what did they tell her? So this is too many, like I said, there's too many things about this story that I just find a little iffy. So we're over 23 minutes into the video. I've said enough. Y'all know how I feel. Drop a comment below. Until next time, stay blessed.